Braids, as you all may know, has adapted into one of the most go-to protective styles for natural hair. From cornrows to lemonade braids to box braids, even micros. Braids has been passed down from generations to generations. Many cultures have incorporated braiding into one of their essential styles. However, it all started with one country, Africa. The rich history behind braids are far beyond the untold truth. But there is still evidence that clarifies the originality of braids. This is Dominique Stowers. Journey with me as we pull back the curtains to reveal braids behind the scenes. Braiding began in West Africa during the 15th century. They were heavily embraced because it revealed their identity. Each braiding style classified both men and women into groups. Ayana Bird, author of Hair Story, Untangling the Roots of Black Hair in America, says that hair braiding was like a social security number.
You could look at someone's hairstyle and you could determine where they're from, what their status is in the society, if they're married, if they're single, if they're a widow, if they're a warrior, if they used to be a soldier. The richer someone was in a society, the more fanciful their hair was.
Braids in Africa was more than just a hairstyle, it was a lifestyle. According to African cultural research specialist Markia McMillan, braids was a way to decipher between race, marital statuses, and even clans.
Braiding was used to differentiate between age, between different religions, between different economic statuses, and it was also used as a formality at weddings, ritual ceremonies, and also funerals.
Before any governmental power, Africans separated themselves among tribes. By doing so, they used their own unique styles of braiding to identify themselves.
They were used to signify different tribes amongst the people. For example, the Bantu women, they were known for their very long braids that extended all the way to the ground. And also the Fulani tribe, they were known for the tribal braids, as people would call them today.
Today, we have braiding gel to keep our braids together. However, they relied on animal fat and water to keep their braids intact.
And of course, they didn't have the gels and products that we use today. So they would use a mixture of water and animal fats to help maintain these braiding styles.
In the 1600s, Africans were captured as slaves. It was then their identity was stripped from them. Because of sanitation purposes, their hair was shaved completely off. From there, their ranks, social statuses, nor groups did not matter. Not only losing their hair was traumatizing, losing their identity was also. After coming to America, African women then began to take fabric and place it over their heads. This reduced the exposure of their shaved heads. Soon after, they began to see this as a very convenient and unique style. Therefore, they took a piece of fabric and imitated it as a trend among their community. Braiding made its grand debut in South North America. Due to a long work week, slaves did not have time to do anything, let alone their hair. It was then a tradition to get their hair braided on Sundays.
During slavery, Sunday was the day that was set aside where you could actually do your hair. It was a time where actual grooming rituals were born, and also a way to figure out how to care for hair that could last for an entire week of you weren't going to be able to do anything until the next Sunday.
While kept in bondage, slaves had no way to communicate. Even if they did have a way to write, it would have caused a major problem if it was to fall into the wrong hands. Braids played a major part in communicating with one another. Who would have thought that you could have hidden a whole map inside of a hairstyle? This helped get the message out easily. One way to signal their escape was through a hairstyle called departs.
The slaves, they often used braids to help them find passageways, to send messages to each other, letting each other know if they were going to escape.
While preparing for their journey, they would hide seeds, gold, and even rice inside their cornrows for survival.
Women would also use rice to put inside of their braids to help them from starving as they would travel.
For them, planting a seed on free grounds represented a new life. When we come back, we will shine the light on the modern twist of today's braiding styles and techniques.
I had a pretty normal mom life. Everything was pretty good.
And we just had a new baby, and then all of a sudden she's on life support and fighting for her life.
They told me my only chance was a heart transplant.
And the American Heart Association helped make that possible. Their research helped save me.
To learn more about how the American Heart Association is saving lives, go to helpheart.org.
Welcome back. Previously, we journeyed through the history of braids. Now, let's talk about how braids evolved over the years. Braids became such an iconic style in the South. During the Great Migration, African Americans did not change the way they wore their hair. In the North, this style was frowned upon, and if their hair was not considered straight, it was considered being unprofessional or not clean.
Cases where women went with braids or with natural hair, and that wasn't seen as professional because they were expected to socialize and assimilate to white American cultural norms.
Even though braids disappeared from the scenes during this era, it slowly made its way to the forefront in the 21st century. Because of this, there have been cases where African Americans were discriminated against for a position on a job, or they were not able to attend school just because of their braids. It wasn't until 2019 of January that the Crown Act was introduced. What is the Crown Act, you may ask? The word crown stands for creating a respectful and open world for natural hair. It was created by 4 Black women who says that natural hair was a part of their culture and that it should not stop performances on any job or learning ability at any school.
The Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair Act is passed.
The Crown Act was introduced in California by Senator Holly J. Mitchell.
For people to show up at work ready to give your top performance, reflecting who I am as a person and not needing to alter that to meet someone else's comfort level or to meet someone else's perception of what's professional in the workplace. All of us up here are quite professional every day.
On July the 3rd of 2019, Governor Gavin Newsom wanted to be the first to sign this bill into law in the state of California.
Crown Act is now law.
The Crown Act and other similar legislations has become law in 14 states, including Maryland, and has been filed in 16 other states. Since the Crown Act, more and more African Americans are able to naturally wear their hair or protective styles without the worries or hassle to impress employers at the job of their choice. Braids has taken over the workplace. Not only are women embracing them, but so are men. Ty Williams, a senior student at New Beginning Barber and Beauty College in Holly Springs, Mississippi, states that men are one of the most consistent clientele base there is.
Base strictly to males or, male braiding because of the consistency and the loyalty to males that they have to me and the money. And it's something that I've grown to love to do.
She also states that because African Americans' hair textures and styles are so cultivated, it makes braiding unique.
The way that our hair is made, the texture of our hair, the thickness of our hair. It's just something that, you know, I feel like you can't take away from Black people. So that's what makes it unique. The different braids that we can do with our own hair, the parts, how they look, how neat they look, the crispiness. You know, that's just our culture.
When I get my hair done, like, it ain't no better feeling in the world. Like, it made me feel like I'm that guy. You know what I'm saying? It made me want to go out and just run unnecessary errands for no reason. Like, maybe go to Walmart just to go to Walmart. Maybe go to Rush College just to go to Rush College. You know what I'm saying? So
Braids then began to evolve, and more than just the African American race. They began to evolve in other races such as the Latino race. Chico, another male client, expresses his experience he has with braids.
No, not in my culture at all, but I had a friend I was real close with, man. He had cornrows all the time, boy. Now I always play with him and be like, damn, they go hard. Thought about makes my hair look way better. I ain't gotta have my nappy stuff all over the place.
Common styles today. Just like clothing fashion, certain braiding styles have become a trend. Braids not only revolutionized with their style, but with their names also. So, what was once called cornrows are now called straightbacks, or what was once called individual plaits are now called knotless braids. Local braiding specialist Lauren Spates walks us through two of the most common styles today.
Stitch braids, those are braids on the scalp that go straight back, and what makes that stitch braid to give that stitch looks is the parting. So I would use my pinky finger to part the hair in order to give the look that is desired. I'll use 3 strands, and I'll also just braid and pick up hair, and it will be flat to the scalp as well, and I will use the natural hair, and I'll also incorporate some weave as well. I also love to do the knotless braids. Those are individual braids that hang after you do individual plaits for each braid. So when I install knotless braids, I braid the client's natural hair first, and then I also add increments of pieces of hair into the braid that will give it the length and the thickness that the client is desiring. However, if they want shoulder length or their regular hair length, I'll just use their natural hair.
Some of these styles can take hours to do. So what do a client do when they are sitting in a chair for hours? Well, for Spates, having clients sitting in her chair allows her to not only be a hairstylist, but to be a therapist as well.
Whenever my clients come visit me, they always feel relaxed, welcome. They feel like a beautiful woman when they get up to leave. When they look in the mirror, their confidence get back if it wasn't there. They also feel safe. You know, a lot of my clients, they also use the salon chair as a safe haven to vent, you know, talk about their life and to also get things off their chest. So we also call that the therapy room as well as the hairstylist.
The evolution of braids has developed a natural way to merge into the forefront of the hair industry in both men and women, also in different ethnic groups. Knowing that our ancestors have paved the way for more than just a right to become citizens, but the right to walk naturally beautiful with braids. So next time you decide to get a style, think about the history you have learned today and be proud to wear your braids purposely. Once again, this is Dominique Stowers, and I hope you enjoyed your journey with Braids Behind the Scenes.